When the badger glimmered away into another garden, you stood, half lit with whiskey, sensing you had disturbed some soft returning. The murdered dead, you thought. But could it not have been some violent, shattered boy nosing out what got mislaid between the cradle and the explosion? Evenings when windows stood open and the compost smoked down the backs. Visitations are taken for signs. At a second house, I listened for duntings under the laurels and heard intimations whispered about being vaguely honored. And to read, even by carcasses, the badgers have come back. One that grew notorious lay untouched in the roadside. Last night, one had me breaking, but more in fear than in honor. Cool from the set and redolent of his runs under the night, the bogey of fern country broke cover in me for what he is. Pig family, and not at all what he's painted. How perilous is it to choose not to love the life we're shown? His sturdy, dirty body and interloping bravo, the intelligence in his bone, the unquestionable houseboy's shoulders. That could have been my own. That was an odd little poem, wasn't it? From Fieldwork, titled The Badgers by Seamus Heaney. And that poem brought light to me about two very difficult readings we have today. The one in Jeremiah and the one in Luke. Now, we all, being human beings, have self-perceptions. Maybe good, maybe bad, maybe somewhere in between. But when I start drifting away from awareness and acceptance, my self-perception might get inflated by my ego either way. And usually it takes the community, or more than likely Mary Jo, to just stare my badger in the eye and say, really? And then the moment of awareness comes. But that moment is challenged by this reading in Jeremiah. What can I do when that moment comes? Am I frozen in place? Will I always slip into self-delusion? Will I always have self-aggrandizement? Will I ever find a way to be true in the world? According to Jeremiah, I'm a lump of clay. Yeah, you are too. And you're just being manipulated by the potter. Not just us, all together. Nations at the whim of God. Well, you're kind of nasty down there, U.S. Let's whip a little evil in here and kick your economy in the behind. Is that all there is? Do I have any say, any choice in the way our life will be directed? That brings us to Luke. Because Luke, to me, is kind of diametrically opposed to what Jeremiah is implying. Because Luke says, you have a choice. Here's the line. If you want to be over here with me being Jesus, then you gotta hate. Gotta hate mother, father, spouse, child. Gotta hate life itself if you want to be over here. More than that, and I think Luke softens it up by putting those two little things in about the king and building the tower. More than that, if you want to be in the Ebion, that was the group that Jesus was a part of, the poor, get rid of all those possessions. Come to me naked, stripped of everything. Whoa, wait a minute. You mean I have a choice? Now all of a sudden having a choice doesn't look too great. I think I'd rather be back there with Jeremiah. Yeah, just do what you want, make me a nice cup or maybe a pitcher or whatever you want. Don't give me this choice stuff. And again, I do believe that Jesus, the very story of Jesus, has shown us a way of life that is love. In Haiti, he gets me with the gospel. How perilous is it to choose not to love the life we're shown? Indeed, how perilous is it?